Welcome back to my channel. I'm Tanvir Kang, and today I'm going to be sharing my top tips on how you can get a 9 in GCSE physics. I'll break down the best revision techniques, common mistakes to avoid, and my top exam tips to help you get that 9. Let's get started. So how can you effectively learn the content? Physics is all about formulas, problem solving, and applying concepts to questions. So, regarding the formulas, some exam boards, they'll give you a formula booklet in the exam, which will be most of them, but you should still know all of them anyway. Don't just learn them though, apply them. Practice questions are the best way for this. The best way for you to learn the content effectively is using the specification. The specification has everything that you need to know for the exam. Use it like a checklist and tick off each topic once you do it. These next few revision techniques I always mention, and that's because they're so great. The first one is active recall. So what I want you to do is get some flashcards, write on one side a question, and on the other write the answer. And this way you can test yourself right before the exam and during your revision. The second one is called blurting. So what I want you to do is grab a whiteboard or a piece of paper and think of a specific topic. So let's say waves. And then I want you to write everything that you know about that topic. So you might write the electromagnetic spectrum, transverse and longitudinal. Write everything that you know and then compare it with your notes. See if there are any gaps in your knowledge. Physics is very conceptual, so you need to use visual aids. Now, for example, let's say you're doing circuits. Don't just tell yourself all the circuit symbols. Instead, draw a diagram. This final technique is the one which I use the most. And you can do either one. It's either teaching someone the content, so go to a family member or a friend and just break down a topic from the start right to the end, or just saying it out loud to yourself. This might feel weird and unfamiliar at first, but it is great because it engages 3 of your senses. Your eyes when you're seeing it, your mouth when you're saying it, and your ears when you hear it. Now, are you struggling to learn the content for physics? Your notes aren't good enough? Get a CGP book. This is the one which I use for my GCSEs, and it is so useful. It gives a thorough breakdown of each topic and tells you what you need to know for the exam. You'll see I've mentioned quite a few different revision techniques. You don't want to just use one. You want variety to keep your brain focused and engaged. Now for some common mistakes and how you can avoid them. Lots of students lose easy marks on easy questions. Don't make these simple mistakes. Physics is a lot like maths. Lots of formulas and lots of working. The number one mistake is not showing your working in calculations. Do this to get method marks. That way, even if your answer is wrong, you'll still get some marks. At the start of each calculation question, write out the formula which you're going to use. That's an easy 1 mark to pick up. The next silly mistake is not focusing on the question. If it specifically says, put it to a certain number of significant figures or certain units, let's say joules, don't put it in kilojoules. Keep to the question. Physics and maths are very similar in the GCSE. So if you're good at one, you're usually good at the other. Unfortunately, that also means if you're bad at one, you're usually bad at the other. So how can you improve this? One topic which I want you to focus on is graphs. Understand what a positive and negative gradient look like and how to calculate gradients. This will help you a lot with the distance and time graphs. The final mistake is poor time management. Physics is one of the less time pressure GCSEs. But if you get stuck on a complex calculation, don't let it bog you down. Move on and then return back to it later when you have time. Now for my top tips to help you perfect your exam technique. This first one will help you a lot with your timings, and it is probably the best out of everything, and that is past papers. If you haven't already, check out my other video, which explains how to best use past papers. But this will give you first-hand experience of what the actual exam will be like. It'll help you get used to your timings so you know how long you have for each question. The other great thing about past papers is that they help you pick up on common questions which your exam board asks. Especially for topics like forces and waves, there's only a certain number of questions which they can actually ask you. And this will help you work out what the repeated questions are to make sure you're prepared for these. Now for the step-by-step approach I'd use for each calculation question. First thing you do is of course read the question. Underline any keywords. For the calculation question, they'll always give you 2 variables. And then you need to probably work out the third. So work out what formula you need. Write it down and then use the variables to work out your answer. You'll want a set method for each type of calculation question before you go into the exam. That way you're best prepared. Now, a lot like maths, after each calculation question for physics, I want you to check your method thoroughly. Go from the start right to the end. Check the question if it asked for you to specifically round, and make sure you've put your units. Final exam tip, which is especially useful for multiple choice questions. If you're not sure which answer it could be, then use process of elimination. Rule out 1 or 2 answers, and then take 50-50 if you have no idea. But for every question in the paper, always answer it. You don't get penalised for wrong answers, so make sure you put an answer for everything. That's it for today. If you follow these techniques and tips, you're sure to smash your exam. If you found this video helpful, like, comment and subscribe so that you never miss a tip. Good luck with your studies, and remember, you've got this. Thanks for watching.